Hello, and welcome to this presentation on acquiring important routines to include Afro descendants in your curriculum. My name's Jennifer White, so I'm so excited that you are here today. Now, this is about not focusing on Afro descendants only on Black History Month. This is on how to develop routines, on how to do this all year round. So, here, let's get started. Hello, my name is Jennifer White. I am a Spanish teacher at the Donahoe School in Anniston, Alabama. I am a native of Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, a Zumba instructor since 1999. So if you see me moving my hands or shaking a little bit, that's why I can't seem to control that part of me. So I was the AWLA Teacher of the Year in 2021 and the SCOLT 2021 Teacher of the Year. I totally love sloths because they are slow and I am not there yet. I try to be a little slow. I try to live a more calm life, but it just doesn't happen. So the sloth is just one of those animals that I acquired to be. All right, so I have a podcast about culture at Afro-Latina teacher in the rural South. And please, I apologize for my accent. I can't seem to pronounce the word rural. It's easier for me in Spanish, rural. It's just the way it is. But anyway, Afro Latina teacher in the rural South. Look it up. I also have a Facebook group incorporating Afro Latino culture in Spanish classrooms. So if you feel like you're in this journey alone, you are not alone. There's plenty of teachers out there that just don't know how to incorporate the Afro descendants who have been ignored for so long into their classroom. You can follow me on Facebook as Afro Latina teacher, on Twitter, and on Instagram. I do have a TikTok channel, but I'm not too proud about that one. It has a lot of stupid videos in there. So if you want to find me, fine, but I don't recommend. Nothing bad, just really, really silly videos. All right, so today we're going to talk about four routines that I would love for you to develop. And it's four routines that I have developed myself in my classroom and in my teaching. The first one is everyday routines that we do every day. Second one is holidays and special events that we have at the school or around the world. The third one is teachable moments, those spontaneous ideas that you might have last minute because a child walked in with a specific t-shirt, those kind. And then the fourth one is personal work. You want to develop a routine in your students where they will incorporate Afro descendants and other cultures and ethnicities into their work. So let's see. The beginning of this is our problem. Our problem is that we forget. We have so much things going on, like we're so busy. It's easier to just grab the resource they give us in the book and just go with it. But we do a disservice to our students if we have all African American students and we don't try to mirror an image of what they look like onto that book or your resources. It's just a disservice. Also, the other way around, like I have students that are from Vietnam. So I try to incorporate Vietnamese culture into my Spanish classroom. If I have somebody from India, I incorporate that. So whoever is in my classroom, I try to relate to them in some way or another so that when they are in my classroom, they feel like they belong there. The next thing is that most of this stuff is not even in books. Have you ever watched a telenovela? Like we're watching this one right now called Go Vive a tu manera. Is one that we just finished. We didn't finish watching it, but we watched it. And the people in there are from Argentina. And to my surprise, there are some brown people in there, but there is the brown guy that's in there happens to be from Brazil. So what they do is that they make it seem that only because he's a foreigner, he's not the same color as the Argentinians, but they are black people in Argentina, and we can prove that. So just to let you know that out there is not somewhere where we could be supported. Telemundo, Univision is not going to support us, not right now. But for right now, there are other resources that we can see. So because of the harsh history of Afro descendants, it's hard to find them in the books. And if you find a black person in a telenovela, they're probably a witch or they're probably a slave. And it's hard to say that, but it's the truth. That's like stereotyped. So sometimes we need to be able to explain to kids about what is an Afro Latino. If you have any issues with that, I happen to have two podcast episodes about this, one in Spanish, one in English. I also have some other resources about, how to explain the term Afro Latinos. I have it on YouTube in Spanish and in English. So there's plenty of stuff out there to at least explain to your students who they are, who are we. So I think that some of us think, okay, well, I am not equipped enough to talk about this subject. I'm just, first of all, I don't know enough about it. And then the other thing is that I'm not even part of that culture. But you shouldn't feel that way. As long as you have a good relationship with your students, you build trust, you can pretty much bring up anything to your classroom. So in my sense, I am an Afro-Latina teacher and my students are mostly white. All right. So I rarely have a black student. When I do have a black student, it's probably from Africa. And I do have kids from India, from Pakistan, but the majority of my students are white. I have felt before when I first got my job is that, oh, I don't feel like I fit here. How will I talk to them about Afro Latinos? That's too much. They're going to look at me like I'm crazy, or I don't think I should. So even it's in the other side, you can feel the same way. Like I'm not equipped to even talk about my own culture to them because it's like it's not wanted or needed. But it surely is. It surely is to be able to incorporate Afro Latinidad, Afro descendants, and any culture that representing in your classroom is extremely important and necessary. So if you're the minority in your classroom, just be empowered. It is okay. Those kids go into your class every single day and they have a relationship with you. As long as you are kind and they show that you love them and you do nice things for them, they will like you back, I think. Not all my students like me, but that's okay. What can we do? All right, let's go with step one, everyday routines. Now, I don't want you to think, well, Jennifer, you're so Afrocentric. Does that mean that your whole room is a bunch of African Americans and Afro Latinos here and there? You move the chair and there's a picture and no, nothing like that. My room is actually called the sloth classroom. Yeah, el bosque de perezoso. And I made it that way because I want kids to have the attitude of taking it slow, listening carefully, reading slowly, relaxing, not stressing out about the language, just enjoying life, just like a sloth. As I remember seeing a sloth scratch his butt for 2 hours in Panama, and I was like, whoa, buddy, if I could do that. No, I don't have time. I just everything. I rush everything. So I think that looking at the sloth is like, wow, I would have such a good heart, not have high blood pressure if I would just be like a sloth, but I'm not. But I wanted to bring that up to my kids that we just need to take it slow, not be ashamed, and just enjoy the language. So every day in my class doesn't mean that every day I'm like, let's talk about Afro Latinos. Okay, we got 5 more minutes. Afro Latino. No, it's not like that. It's more like the photos, adding photos. Now I have only one door that has Afro Latinos on there, and it's not something that stands out that you walk in my class and they're like, oh, there's the Afro Latina teacher's door. It's not like that. It's a door and it's way over there and it's about Afro Latinos. I incorporate it, I talk about it, I touch it, I point at it, but it's not like the majority of my room. It's not taking over my room because not everybody in my room is Afro Latino. Actually, nobody is Afro Latino, just me and my daughter. Her name is Lizzie. And she happens to be in Spanish 3 this year. So she's the only one. So it's nice to be able to relate with her and her growing up, and she can agree of a lot of things that I say, a lot of struggles that we share. She gets to agree with that. But other than that, no, I don't have anybody else in my classrooms that are Afro Latino. I never have, actually. So add something about Afro descendants in every unit. So if you're doing a unit about transportation, let's say, and you happen to stumble upon the manager of Honda, and he happens to be an African American guy, make sure you show that to the class and we could talk about this guy. Remember, it doesn't have to be an Afro Latino per se, it's just a representation. Okay, it's good to talk about Afro Latinos and to show them, but also it's good to just show the representation. Okay, if I have a Vietnamese student and the manager of Honda was Vietnamese, I would say, hey, look at the manager of Honda, so they could see he's from Vietnam, he's from this place. So this is just a way that I would like to relate to my students, including Afro descendants in every part of the unit. Now, sometimes we use books that don't have anything, anything. How many of you can say amen? anything about Afro Latinidad. Nothing. Maybe a picture here and there. Like currently, I'm working I'm collaborating for a textbook with languages, and I just love this textbook because they have a good representation of Afro Latinos and all the colors and everything. But that's just touching the surface. It's, you're seeing yourself there, but we forget as teachers that there's no black people in the book. So imagine kids, they're looking at it, they never see it, but if they see it, they'll be like, oh my gosh, there's a black guy there. I wonder if he's just a model. So sometimes it's good that you incorporate it. Show the If you're talking about music, include the music of Juan Luis Guerra. Like Juan Luis Guerra is my favorite Dominican artist. He's not Afro Latino, but his music includes the African drums. When you hear this song that I shared with you with all the resources I sent, there's one that's called A Pedir Su Mano. And A Pedir Su Mano is actually a song that it starts with that African beat and the African language. And I just love it. And then if you see this song, you see this video, it's so old. Please don't judge. But the people are dancing in the street and they're doing these big old steps, like if they're, like African steps. Oh, I just love that song. I just really love that song. So check that out. And also there's a song from Chucky Town. This is a group that's Afro-Colombianos, and they have a song that says Somos los Prietos. And los Prietos is a word that in the Dominican Republic, it has a negative connotation to it. Like if I say, ay, ese Prieto, ¿qué le pasa? They're always going to say something negative about it. They don't say nothing like, oh, I mira el Prieto. I've never seen that before. If somebody has, please let me know. But we don't just use that word. It's not a pretty word, but they use it in Chucky Town. And this song, Somos los Prietos, it's like this orgullo, this pride that they have. Somos los Prietos, Afro de Colombia. I'm sorry, I cannot sing. I'm not gonna do that to you right now. But listen to the song. I put the link in there for Somos los Prieto and all of their music. Just listen. My students are used to listening to Choke It Down. I could put the music video on my screen projector. It could be any unit of the semester, and they could come into that music and the music video playing, and it's okay. The kids are going to be all right with whatever music you put on there, as long as it's safe and they're not going to make fun of you for putting something bad on the screen. But just letting you know that with the music, Celia Cruz, there was a Celia Cruz telenovela on Netflix. It was so amazing. I let my students watch it. I just had to fast forward a lot of parts, so we couldn't finish watching it, but they took it off of Netflix. So sorry about that. Sorry for that insert. But sometimes there's a lot of movies out there that you can show at least clips of it, because they can't see the whole thing, but it's okay. So also, like, sometimes we've watched telenovelas such as El Gran Hotel, Silvana Sin Lana, and these have no type of black representation, none at all. Okay, so it's kind of sad to say, okay, guys, we're gonna watch this, but when we dig deep into that movie, we start looking at the representation of the people in that area. In Miami, for instance, like Silvana Sin Lana, to me is a mess. It's a total mess, because I grew up in Miami. And I don't remember those people being so pale. Like Cubans are pale, and they can be light skinned. I know a lot of Hispanics are light skinned, but I've never seen Miami be all white. And what I do is that I show that show to the kids and they love it. And then I go ahead and show different photos of Miami and what it really looks like. Like in Silvana Sin Lana, they show scenes about my school, the school I graduated from, Miami High. It's called something else. But I would go back and tell them, hey, this is the representation of my school when I graduated. How about now? What does it look like now? They have daycare now. They have automotive and mechanics in there now. It's not that I'm always talking about the Afro Latinos, but I'm including, like, it doesn't look like that anymore. It's a little different. So what the TV is representing is inaccurate. And that's what I'm always trying to show my kids, that what they see on the screen is not really real. So also the YouTube videos. Also, there's these people that demonstrate culinary arts, like how to make un bizcocho dominicano, like Dominican cake. Those people are normally dark skinned, and they're saying step by step in Spanish how to do it. You could share that with your students and show them, like, okay, what is step two, or what does she do here? Just like a listening comprehension. There's also another guy that he does culinary arts, and he's also Afro Latino. There's like a bunch of people in YouTube now. After George Floyd, we've had an influx of Afro descendants that have come out and shown their face, which is amazing because we needed them. We sure did need them. It's about time. So, also holidays and special events. Holidays and special events are our favorite because that's when we get the time off, right? But anyway, one of the things that you should do first is make a list. Make a list of all the special events throughout the year, your school year, and even those that are outside the school year, like Juneteenth. Juneteenth, I could never celebrate it in my classroom because it's outside, it's in June. But what if I just decide to celebrate Juneteenth in February for Black History, or celebrate it in October or September during Hispanic Heritage Month? You can do whatever you want. It is your classroom. So we celebrate Three Kings Day. We celebrate homecoming. We celebrate all kinds of stuff. So make a list of all the events in your classroom that you're gonna have, that the whole school celebrates, and make sure that you ask the supervisor if you can do a project that's gonna be representing Afro Latinos in the hallways. And remember, I don't always do just Afro Latinos, just a representation of my students in that case. So let's say if it's Happy New Year, everybody's coming back, or Thanksgiving. What did you do for your new year? What did you do for Thanksgiving? What I would do is we would put a collage. The kids will make a collage of pictures and what they did, and then we would print it out and post it all over the school. Now, in between those things, I would put what certain kids did in other schools, and this way I can represent the Afro Latinos or any Chinese or any Vietnamese in that group. Doesn't always have to be our school. I like them to be able to compare cultures. So I go ahead and do that. What did you do for for New Year's? Like, we celebrate Three Kings Day. So who else celebrates Three Kings? And that was something that we could post posters all over the school. Who celebrates Three Kings Day? The kids write down who celebrates it, what's the procedure, what do they do, what do they get, where's the parade. And when you put all these all over the school, it's not just white people, it's not just Black people, it's everyone that represents the Latino community. That's who celebrates Three Kings Day. So I want you to think a little bit broader when it comes to starting a routine. Now, if you do this every January 6th or 7th when you return from your vacation, you're going to remember, oh, Three Kings Day. And then the kids will remember, oh, we haven't done Reyes Mago. Like, one thing that I love to do for Three Kings Day is before the day comes, because we're usually on vacation, so I have to do this like in November. I try to go to a Burger King, and I tell the Burger King manager, or I try to contact three Burger Kings, as much as I need, and I'll say, hey, I need about 150 crowns. Can you give me 150 crowns? No, I can't. I could give you 50. Okay, I'll take 50. I'm a school teacher, I'm going to use it for my school. Oh, sure. And they give it to me, crowns. Then I'll go to another Burger King, get it. Now, what we do is that we turn the crown around where we don't see the Burger King part, and the kids decorate it. And I tell them to decorate it with the flag or something in Spanish. And when it comes to Three Kings Day, everyone who, they turn in these crowns, and if they pay the money to eat the Three Kings luncheon, they get their crown. So you'll see in my campus, is so cute. Everybody with a crown that day is gonna go to the luncheon. And before it used to be like an embarrassment, but now it's a routine. Now every time they see crowns, oh, today's the Three Kings luncheon. Because becoming like more popular, is becoming like, yeah, we do this last year, yeah, we did it the other year. Every time they get a crown. So if they don't get a crown last minute and someone's like, I really want to go, okay, here's a crown, or $5, here's a crown, and that's my ticket. So it's like a way of me incorporating a routine. Just trying to tell you about that. That had nothing to do with Afro Latino. This was a freebie anyway. So, also, when it comes to international fairs, Black History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month programs, how do you have it at your school? Because in my school, or in my county, we don't really celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. We don't really celebrate Black History Month. The way we do it is that someone has to volunteer. A teacher has to volunteer their time to be able to provide these events. I know my school is probably different than yours, or my area is different than yours, but over here it's not really that important, and it breaks my heart, but I make it important. So I volunteer every year to head up the international fair for the elementary and the high school, and my students are involved in it, the Black History Month program and the Hispanic Heritage Month program. And I involve the parents and the students. So it's like I'm not really alone. In our department, we have two people. So between my other colleague and I, we put it together, and it seems to be great. Like for Black History Month this past year, I was so excited because my husband gave me the wonderful idea of inviting an HBCU college, and that means historically Black college and university. So there was one here called Talladega College. They have sororities and they have fraternities. So I asked them in advance. I said, hey, would you be willing to present to the kids about stepping? What is stepping? Why is it important in Black culture? They said, yes, we're going to bring two sororities and fraternities. We're going to bring them. And I was so excited. So what I did is that I started teaching kids zapateo. We got YouTube videos. I mean, I like to dance, but doesn't mean I know every dance. So we looked up a YouTube video, El Zapateo Mexicano. We learned about that. That is originally African. So we looked at that. We looked at any other step. I told them, hey, what other step is used in dances? El tango. Tango comes from Africa. All these things, and we practiced this in school until it was closer to Black History Month, and we went ahead and practiced step, African American step. I showed them a clip about the movie Step Sisters, and just a little clip. I showed them the beginning and the end because that movie's too long and it's in English, so I didn't want to like show the whole movie. But they were fascinated. My kids were going, well, they didn't do that, but it looked like that. So if you ever want me to share that, I should have shared that. But if you ever wanted me to share that, I would. So my kids loved African step. Remember, I don't have any African Americans students in my classrooms right now. So everybody loved it. They loved African American steps. So when that college came to demonstrate, my Spanish students were ready. They formed circles, they were stepping, they were smiling. It wasn't a typical, like, oh my gosh, it's a Black History program. Oh, the lady's talking for two. Oh my gosh, she's so boring. No, I don't want to do that, because if I want to introduce culture to my students, it has to be fascinating. If not, it's going to be stuck in their head. Oh gosh, Black History Month program is so boring. They're always going to think that. Or even Hispanic Heritage Month program. I always, for Hispanic Heritage Month program, I always include something about Afro Descendants. If we do a Kahoot as a school, if we have competitions, if we have a talk show, it's included somehow. So I always get really excited with doing the international fairs also, and the Black History Month. It's something that I have to do. I have to sacrifice. I know some of you probably don't have any time, which I really don't have time. I sacrifice a lot for me to be able to do these events, because it's the whole school I'm trying to reach, not just my classroom. And my classroom, I see my kids every day, but when you're talking about the whole school, it's a little bit different, and it's amazing that you can share to the whole school. I also listed here about the Africans. You could Google, how do Afro Mexicans or Afro Uruguayos celebrate what holiday? And sometimes you'll get some information on there. And it's probably just a reading or whatever, but you can just click it, show it on your projector screen, or share it with your kids. Tell them to give you feedback, tell them to answer a few questions. It's no big deal. It's not like a long thing. You have to do a resource and all this stuff and drag it along. I know it's a lot. So I'm just trying to tell you some quick, easy things that you can do. All right, número tres. Think outside the box. I love teachable moments. Love it, love it, love it. Because teachable moments are things that you do not plan, and usually teachable moments come in the news. Sometimes they have a news about anything, Afro descendants, Afro Latinos. It could be anything, and I'm not saying that only do the Afro Latinos. Do teach about anything. Anything in Spanish can be a teachable moment. But I remember one time I told my kids, "Hey, look out the window, mira la ventana," and they're all looking out the window. Wow, one day I would like my sloth to be out there. And they're like, what? The sloth, because we have sloths everywhere. So my kids in their brain are thinking, we're gonna put a sloth on that tree one day. We're gonna get a we're gonna get a ladder and put a sloth on that tree. So when we look out the window, there's actually a sloth. Not that I want them to do that, but I just want to be spontaneous with them. I want them to know that if something crazy happens in this class, they are not surprised at all. Also, let's talk about the food. If you happen to be talking about food, you can include how there's African influence in the plantains. I love eating mangoes, so I like to show them what I like to eat. I like to fry them. I like them ripe. I like them green. It don't matter. I like to show them about mango. If I'm able to cook for them, then I'll go ahead and do it. If I have like the budget to cook for them, I do. Like this past year, we did empanadas, so I was able to show them the empanadas. But if they know anything about tamales, tamales are an African tradition. Using the leaves to cover the meat or the vegetable that's inside. So mofongo too. Can't wait to make some mofongo. Just love it. Anyway, just smell it. Just saying it. I smell the garlic and the olive oil. Okay, I'm getting off track here. All right, how about music? Again, thinking outside the box. Some kids like to play African American artists in their car, and it's super loud. It goes boom, boom. You've heard about these things. I like to start a conversation sometimes about that. I say, hey guys, what artist was that? Why do you like that artist? ¿Por qué te gusta? I do it in a target language. Why do you like that artist? Show me a picture of the artist. Wow, it looks like a great artist. He has like 1 million views. What? And I make a big deal about that. And I even go a little deeper and say, how do you feel? How do you connect with that artist? How do you feel like you and that artist are the same? Where is that artist from? Where did they grow up? What kind of struggles is that? I go a little deeper with the artist. Sometimes they're just listening to the music just to be rebellious because it's saying a bunch of f-bombs and a bunch of bad words and stuff like that, and they're just being rebellious and they're singing to that music. But do they really connect to that music? Why do they connect? I want to hear their conversation of why. This also talks about the African influence, because it is African American music or reggaeton, like hard reggaeton. I want to know why they listen to the music. Sometimes they won't talk about it. Sometimes I could get 2 or 3 sentences out of it, but it is something. One of those teachable moments. Also, nature. A lot of these animals that I have here are from Africa. So if anyone has a t-shirt, if they come with a shirt, like if they have anything in their project that has these animals or they love those animals, then I would normally say, oh, those animals come from Africa, originate from Africa. And art and dance, some of the dances that they do, where do they come from? Like some of the TikTok dances that they put together, some of the artists are like young middle school African American girls. So I try to say, hey, who's the originator of that music? Can you come up with something new? What do you think? Just bring it up. I like to have my kids also come up with their own thing, be innovators, try to do different things, even though they like copying other people and they like listening to other people's music, which is fine. But I like for them to also create something in their mind. So that's also a routine of constantly just looking out to see what is new that you can bring into the classroom that has to do with Afro descendants. And here I put Condoleezza Rice because she's an Afro-Latina, but I have her on my presentations. She is an Afro descendant and she is from Alabama. So that's why I put her on there. And I make a big deal about her because she's a great leader and she has carried herself so well in the position she has held in the government. So I always like talking about her and the wonderful things she's done in her life. All right, last but not least is personal work. So, one of the things that I like to do with students is that students like to do presentations. Those presentations that they come up and they talk about things, I make sure that I tell them that they have to include the representation of their classmates in the room. And if that's not good enough, then the school or the world. So sometimes if they pick out their own pictures, I try to put it in their brain. Hey, let's put people that don't look like you. How about that? And sometimes they make fun of me and will put a bunch of animals. They don't look like me. That's not what I mean. Anyway, so I try to get them to always remember, and I add it on the rubric. What representation do you have? Do you have representation of the world in this presentation? If I see your presentation, can I see that you have a worldview? or that you're just stuck in our school. And they don't like that. So they say, yeah, I'm definitely going to put my favorite artist. And it kind of frees them up, because before it was like, okay, I got to put these proper looking people. And then now they put these with these hunks with no shirt on, and I'm like, no, that's not what I meant. They're like, oh, but The Rock, he's so hot. Okay, but put clothes on him. I'm sorry, some kids, they exaggerate. I mean, you tell them to put your favorite actors, not like half naked. But anyway, this is a way that sometimes they gotta hide what they like from other people, because they're thinking they're being judged. But if everybody has to put on their different types of people, different backgrounds, then it's okay. When I see their presentation, it's not going to be weird, because everybody else has a variety of people in it. So that is really a way of getting kids in the routine of adding Afro descendants in there, and adding people that represent their classroom, their school, their world. All right, so we're down to that's it. I'm done. So we're gonna go over this again. Remember, incorporate Afro Latino culture in everyday routines, in your curriculum, in your photos, mentioning it here and there. Holidays and special events. Remember that you can plug that in any holiday or event to make it relevant. Also, the teachable moments. Just stop right here. But all right, stop, collaborate, and listen. That's from Ice Baby. You remember that song? It's back in the day when I was a kid. Love that song. But anyway, it has nothing to do with this presentation. But it's a way of me remembering teachable moments. It's like if I'm teaching and then I'm like, stop, collaborate, and listen. And then I change to teaching them something that could be relevant to Afro Latinos or anything else that is good to teach. Personal work, remember to start a routine where students will be able to remember to incorporate different peoples in their projects and presentations, even if it's pictures of themselves. A lot of my students don't like putting pictures of themselves, even though they take selfies like every day. I don't get that. Anyway, no pictures of themselves, but pictures of other people that would represent. So, gracias. Thank you so much for listening today. If you have any questions at all, you feel free to email me at afrolatinoteacher uh, at gmail.com, or you can go ahead and find me on Facebook or Twitter. Wherever you find me is fine. I'm so glad that you were able to watch the whole presentation till the end. I appreciate your time, and I hope to meet you soon. Adios.